Hi, I'm Mary Poplin with Imagineer Systems and Boris Effects, and today I'm going to be showing you an amazing VR workflow using Mettle and Mocha and the BCC tools. With the rise of VR headsets such as Oculus and Gear, and millions of VR headsets shipping at the end of the year, everyone is trying to catch the VR wave before it passes us by. So what is VR? VR is 360-degree video that is either captured or rendered and allows the user to be fully immersed in the storyteller's world, whether that's movies, video games, or something like a more modern meshing of those worlds. YouTube 360, Facebook 360, Verse, Milk, and more are putting out new VR content all the time. Products like Freedom 360 and Color are bringing the power of VR to more and more users every day, and technology is so bleeding edge that not everyone in the post world has the native tools to process the footage, let alone have a standardized workflow. Currently, most workflows revolve around working on stitched footage, but footage after stitching is usually displayed in equilinear views, and is not always easy to wrap your head around as an artist. Mocha is working on real native plug-in tracking and masking tools that are robust enough to tackle these issues in an easier way. We are partnering with Mettle to bring you this workflow tutorial, and I'd like to introduce you to their useful plugins that allow users to view and convert these types of footage into something more easy to digest and work on. Coming in time for NAB, Imagineer Systems is releasing a plug-in version of Mocha that will work with your native timeline and launch as any other OFX tool would, and yes, this includes the remove and insert tools as well. Couple Mettle's innovative Skybox technology with the Mocha Pro plugin technology coming out soon, and you have a powerful system for tackling these difficult tracking and roto problems common to VR workflows. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our effects panel and select Mettle's Skybox Converter, and we're going to drag that onto our footage. Now this is equilinear footage, so we're going to select the equirectangular option. And then we're going to convert the output to cube map. What this does is it actually converts my stretched and squashed image to something that's a little bit more linear, a little bit easier to understand, all right? Now there's also the option to run Mettle as a script, which is the Skybox extractor script. And you select your comp and you extract your footage. Now what this will do is this will actually build a 3D projection that simulates the camera rig that we had set up on the site. You can see if we zoom out here that this is actually a 3D projection onto a cube with a camera in the middle and several cameras that show us the various sides of that cube so that we can work in this space as if it were flattened. And if we switch to our master camera view, we can pan around the scene as if we were standing right in the middle of our comp, just like you would expect to see this inside of the VR headset, but this is limited to a square view. We're not going to work within the space though, we're going to actually view the entire flattened cube map in order to get better results out of Mocha. Now, in order to use the Mocha Pro plugin, we're going to go to Layer Pre-Compose, and we're going to move all of our attributes into the new composition. This is actually really important. Alright, if we don't do this, we're not going to be able to use the plugin properly. You do this a lot when you're using plugins in After Effects because it keeps plugins from interacting poorly with one another. Now I simply type in Mocha Pro or just Mocha into the effects presets and drag and drop this right onto your layer. Then inside of your effects settings, you can actually launch Mocha. Once you have Mocha open, you can use it like you would any other version of Mocha. So we're going to select our zoom in tool and zoom in on our object we want to track, in this case this cab, and then we're going to select our X-spline tool and draw a shape right around our cab. Now I want you to notice that because the cab is more towards the center of the horizontal plane, that it's going to be easier to track through the seams of this cube map. The really cool thing about using Mocha as a plugin is that it's actually cutting down on rendering and re-rendering because we're actually processing from After Effects. This also gets rid of any resolution mismatches or frame rate mismatches or any other clip mismatches that often happen for users new to Mocha and getting that data into After Effects. It also means that if you can see it in your After Effects viewer, Mocha can track it, and that includes any codec that After Effects can read, or whatever native host you're using the Mocha Pro plugin with. Alright, so now that I've explained what the plugin does, I'm going to turn my Auto Pan key on, and I actually do this because this is such a long image, it will hold the track in the center of the screen as we track forwards and backwards. Now that we've drawn our shape, we're going to track forwards and backwards in Mocha as we always do, just by hitting the track keys. And you can see that Mocha is going to do its best to hold on to this object, even though we're going over seams and even though we're moving further back in the shot. And while it's not edge finding, this will actually give us the ability to really get some quick roto. It actually cuts your keyframes down to about a third of what you would normally use if you were rotoing by hand, and it cuts your roto time in half. Another cool feature in the Mocha Pro plugin and Mocha Pro V5 is GPU tracking, so we're actually much faster than we used to be. From here, we just correct where the shape is off of the edges of this taxi, and Mocha will create keyframes for us automatically, and it will tween those keyframes using the tracking data, which is your typical Mocha workflow. If you run into any places where you don't have enough points to actually make the correct shape, simply use the Add Points to Spline tool right here. This is going to take me a few minutes, so I'm going to speed this part up. Once I'm done with my roto, I can check my roto by zooming out and looking at the entire equilinear space and turn my auto pan off. And if I'm satisfied with my roto, I can move on to the next step. To get this mask back into After Effects, I simply hit Save and Close, and just like that, it's actually applied to my timeline without having to copy and paste or match any data. So now that we have our roto, I want to actually pop the color and blend this back in with the original. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our layer, just like this. And I'm going to delete Mocha Pro off the background. Now I'm going to go to my effects and presets, type in hue, and drag hue and saturation right over the top of my effect. We're going to jump our saturation up, just like this, and adjust our brightness a little bit. And now we have a lovely comp. I think I want this to be just a little bit brighter though. We end up with a very simple comp that looks like this. And from here we can actually distort this back to where it needs to be. We're going to use the Skybox converter, but first to do that we're going to go to Layer, Pre-Compose on both of these layers, and we're going to just merge them all into a new composition. And we're going to call this our Distort Back. It's very simple. Once we've done that, we go back to our effects and presets and type in Sky. We drag and drop this right to our pre-comp, and we go from a cube map to equilinear or equirectangular. And we can actually pan right around. You can see it's all merged back together with our composition changes that we made inside of our other pre-comp. And that is the most basic workflow of using Roto from Mocha Pro, the plugin, and Mettle's Skybox converter to have a really simple VR workflow. Alright, so what if you want to put a more complicated corner pin or more complicated roto or even text and titles into this sort of scene? So again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Skybox right inside of our effects panel, and we're going to grab Skybox converter and drop it right onto our footage. Once inside of our converter, we can select the input as equirectangular because that's what kind of shot this is, and we can move this to cube map just like that. Once we've made this into a cube map, we simply go select our layer and go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and we move all attributions into the new composition. I'm going to call this Mocha Track, and we're going to hit OK. Move all attributes into the new composition, hit OK. Now we come over to our effects and presets and we type in Mocha. Grab Mocha Pro, drag and drop it onto our Mocha track, just like this. And then our pre-comp, right? We select our pre-comp, we go to our effects panel and we go to Launch Mocha Pro. Now Mocha will be launched. From here I can zoom in and I can select my X-Spline tool. With my X-Spline tool I'm going to draw a shape around this guy's head. I'm going to call it head shape. And with the body, I'm going to draw some roto right around the body, just like this. And we're going to call this body. We're going to drag a head shape above body, and we're going to track both of these throughout the scene. Once our track is complete, we can correct our roto, and Mocha will tween between our shapes for us. Now we hit save and close, and then we're going to duplicate our Mocha track. Now we're going to rename this to BG, and we're going to launch Mocha one more time. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to start tracking this background. I'm going to use my Add to X-Spline tool to select more of the corner over here so I get some grounding. I'll turn my surface tool on, and I align my surface tool to the front of this box that's being moved. From here I'm going to call this BG. I'm going to drag this underneath head shape and body, and I'm going to turn off the gears for head shape and body. The reason I do that is because the gears are the action item in Mocha, and they decide whether or not those layers are being tracked. The eyeball is visibility, and the lock, of course, locks the layer. From here, I'm going to track my background box forward, and we'll check our track. Looks pretty good to me. From here I can go to Export Tracking Data. I want After Effects Corner Pin supports motion blur. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to turn Mocha Pro off. So now I've got my background and my foreground guy. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the insert that I want to put on this box. Now you'll notice that this is not the same size as my comp, so I have to go to Layer, Transform, and I have to fit this to the comp. This has to make sure that my insert is the same size as the footage that I was tracking inside of Mocha. I'm going to go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and we're going to move all attributes into the new composition. We're going to call this Insert, hit OK, and we're going to go to Edit, Paste, and now that will put my corner pin into this shot, just like that. And you can see that the guy is rotated over the top of it. Now what if I want to add a lens flare to this shot? Well, what I can do is I can take all of these comps and I can go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and I'm going to call this Equilinear. And I'm going to move all attributes into this new composition. From here I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid, and pick a black solid. I'm going to call this Lens. I can go over here to Effects and Presets and type in BCC Lens, and we'll drag BCC Lens Flare 3D right on top of this. Inside of the lens flare I can go to the Effects browser, and I can pick a lens that I like. Let's go with default for now, but there are many options for me to look through. Hit Apply. Alright, now that we have our lens, and it's fully contained at all times within this box, that's important. We go to Layer, Pre-Compose, move all attributes into the new composition, hit OK. We go to Skybox, we go to Mettle Skybox Converter. We convert this from a 2D source to equirectangular, and on Equilinear here we're going to put our Skybox Converter, and we're going to go to From Cube Map to Equirectangular. Now we're going to go to Screen, and we can reorient the camera view by panning the lens flare. Pan the lens flare where we want it to go, in this case in the bright part of our screen. The last thing I want to do is show you how to view this with the viewer, so we're going to select both our lens and our Equilinear comp. We're going to go to Layer, Pre-Compose, we're going to move all the attributes in and call this 360. I'm going to select OK. I'm going to find my Skybox viewer. I'm going to drag and drop my viewer right on top of my footage. And this is important because I did this wrong the first time. You want to go to Layer, New, Camera, and build yourself a camera. And we're going to call this 360 cam, and this is how you would view it if it were in YouTube or something like that. And you can either make a custom focal length if you like, or you can just go ahead and select a really small number like 15, and we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Once we hit OK, we can use our camera tool, which you can find right here, to pan around the scene. And then you can get an idea of what this is going to look like. And that's it. That's how to use Mettle Skybox and Mocha Pro the plugin, along with some BCC effects, to get really cool VR workflows that are fast and efficient. And that's it. If you have any questions, I am Mary Poplin with Imagineer Systems, and I will be happy to help you.